I still don't get what makes your story different, though. Why should I leave my house to go and watch your film?
If you're successful as a gangster, Hollywood goes, you're a gangster. So Hollywood just goes, we know that you can do this. You can do this. Why?
People will watch it. People will want to see it. That's how I can do this. That's why I'm doing this. If it bleeds, it leads. Do you want to know why I kill people?
Has every black male actor at some point in their career been required to portray some form of criminality? Almost like an initiation.
I don't sell coke to kids.
I look like a kid to you? I'm a grown-ass man.
Yeah, well, I don't sell $200 worth of coke.
What do you sell?
I sell kilos.
Or is it something else? Is it simply that these stories exist and black actors are asked to show their versatility by stepping into a wide range of roles, including the darker, harsher ones?
You just had to do shit your way. Just think I'm about to beg for my life. Cause I won't.
All right, nigga.
There's a question that often lingers beneath the surface of crime films and television. Do black actors play gangsters so convincingly that the performances begin to feel like reflections of a reality they're assumed to live? When a stereotype is built on fear and distrust, cinema frequently mirrors it, sometimes intentionally, sometimes not. This repeated initiation through crime-related roles becomes a kind of gateway to visibility, as if to be taken seriously as a black actor, one must first prove authenticity through the portrayal of hardship, violence, or survival. When we look across the history of film and television, we notice a pattern. Black actors time and time again are cast in criminal roles. It raises a difficult question. Is this coincidence, or is it a quiet expectation built into the industry?
You see, these schemes, they're not about who's got the best idea. They're about which idea best fits their agenda.
Because in England, there was this definite glass ceiling. You could see it coming, you know? It's like you're going to play one kind of role, and in England, it's a smaller market.
You're making this up.
You empty your pockets, please.
Oh. Right, Miss Austin, would you be prepared to make a statement? Yes.
I'm no thief, for God's sake.
And there was this junction where I said, I'm not going to do what you want me to do in England. I'm going to say no, and I'm going to jump ship and go to America. And so post The Wire, every role that came my way was all gangsters.
I'm the one that's got to take that responsibility, and y'all are leaving me very, very little to work with right now.
All of them, you know, films, television, and I had to say no. But I was okay with saying no because I thought, no, I've got some range.
It ain't enough that I got to be the one thinking this whole shit through.
And yet, even with this range, even with decades of performances that stretch far beyond stereotypes, many black actors still find themselves perceived through the narrow lens of the criminal that everyday black people in real life are forced to escape.
I don't want to be another director who makes hood films, but at least they're making films, man. Look, I get that you don't want to get pigeonholed. I understand that. But that's the issue for people who are in the industry, and right now you're not.
The black criminal, or gritty urban stereotype, has operated as a gatekeeping mechanism within the film industry, shaping not only how black people are represented on screen, but also limiting black producers and directors behind the camera. Black creatives who pitch love stories, middle-class narratives, or experimental ideas are often told these stories are not black enough or won't sell.
Whereas my film is a period romance.
There are lots of films about period romance.
But the Windrush era is a very specific time in Britain, especially for Caribbean migrants.
I still don't get what makes your story different, though.
While industry decision makers define authentic blackness through crime, trauma, and struggle. As a result, black filmmakers are frequently pressured to produce hood dramas as a condition of entry, with studios justifying this by claiming it is what audiences want, Rapman's career reflects this critique, echoed in Dreaming Whilst Black. Although known for gritty crime narratives, he has expressed frustration with creative limitation and a desire to tell broader black stories. Rather than directly confronting the industry, Rapman challenges stereotypes through genre blending and by centering black interiority, emotion and community beyond violence while mixing genres, musical, crime, sci-fi.
Fucking bitches!
Who's the bitch now? You're the one that's bleeding, you dirty little... What is that? Run!
You're scared, don't it?
Showing consequences of violence rather than glamorizing it.
You're probably wondering why you can't break out of those handcuffs like you did this cash machine.
Directors like John Singleton, Ernest Dickerson, and the Hughes brothers didn't set out to glorify crime, they set out to expose it. They exposed a generation weighed down by poverty, racism, and despair, families torn apart, lives lost, and hope fading. While films like Supercell contains crime and urban struggle, it also expands on black representation into sci-fi superhero territory, which can be read as a deliberate attempt to break out of the hood realism only box the industry often assigns black directors to go through.
My film is titled The Nine, and is about a young aspiring drill artist who gets caught up in the system and how that impacts his mother and those who love him. The Nine is based on real life events.
When examining the most common background roles assigned in film and television, clear patterns of inequality emerge. Male actors are most often cast as figures of authority such as cops, guards, or doctors. Research compiled by Bruce Nash at The Numbers, drawing on a database of over 160,000 acting credits from major US films, reveals an even starker imbalance in crime-related casting. After analysing every credited role labelled gang member, gangster, gangbanger, or thug, and verifying actors' racial identities, the findings showed that these roles are disproportionately filled by black actors. Around 62% of actors credited as gang members were black, with similar percentages across related labels. Notably, the term henchman was overwhelmingly white. This disparity is significant as black people make up approximately 35% of real-life gang members in the US, yet account for nearly 64% of gang portrayals on screen, highlighting how Hollywood amplifies and distorts racial stereotypes.
So since you interrupted my game, get the fuck out. You ain't even got to be... Mr. Money, will you please escort Mr. Washington off the court? Take him down the block. And if this dreadlock bumbaras even blinks wrong, you lullaby his ass.
In a 2021 interview with Entertainment Weekly, Wesley Snipes said, "Because I'm black, dark-skinned black guys are considered more of a threat."
Most of the representation I had at the time were very against me doing the Blade. They considered me a classical actor and a professionally trained actor, and it was beneath the skill set. My friends, we've never seen a cool Shaft-like vampire that did karate at the same time.
Films like Blade did more than introduce a new kind of superhero film. It demonstrated the power and effectiveness of casting a black actor as the lead in a fictional world.
3, 2, 1,
One where the hero was not defined by crime, stereotype, or limitation, but by strength, intelligence, and purpose. At the same time, Marvel Comics was facing a harsh financial reality. The company was on the brink of bankruptcy, struggling after years of failed or forgotten film adaptations. Earlier efforts in the late 1980s and early 1990s, The Punisher starring Dolph Lundgren, Captain America, The Fantastic Four, and the Little C Nick Fury with David Hasselhoff, failed to connect with audiences or elevate the Marvel brand. Most passed by with little impact, and some went largely unnoticed altogether. Blade changed that trajectory. Its success helped stabilize Marvel's business at a critical moment, and proved that Marvel characters could thrive on screen. More importantly, it laid the groundwork for what would follow. opening the door for Spider-Man, the Avengers, and the cinematic universe that would eventually dominate global pop culture. At the time, black lead roles in Marvel films were virtually unheard of. While the comics had long featured black heroes, the films had not reflected that diversity. Blade became a quiet but powerful breakthrough. Years later, that momentum would grow into landmark moments such as Black Panther, a global phenomenon that demonstrated not only commercial success, but cultural impact, showing that black voices, stories, and actors had a powerful place in modern cinema. From Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury to television series like Luke Cage, and performances such as Jonathan Majors as Kang the Conqueror.
Let me make this easy for you.
Progress came step by step. Each role built upon the last expanding representation within some of the largest franchises in the world. It started with Blade, a film that didn't just save a studio, but helped redefine who could stand at the center of a superhero story. In America, black guys are considered a threat, and you put the dark-skinned black guy in action, people can't separate the two. He noted this perception could lead to producers being hesitant to cast him in certain roles, fearing he might be difficult on set because he is a martial artist, a fear he noted was rooted in stereotype. For black actors, especially those still climbing, the choice of roles becomes a negotiation between survival and integrity. You take roles to get your foot in the door, to pay your bills, to prove your ability, to stay visible. People often ask, why do black actors accept these roles? But the truth is simple. If they don't accept them, someone else will. And for many, refusing a role means disappearing from an industry where visibility is everything.
Barbecue, man. How do you like your ribs?
There aren't many people who recognize that, I guess, because we're all affected by the guys who appear to be actually larger than they are in real life. Guys who, really are fine actors and fine talents. Paul Newman, Robert Redford, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro. Most of these people in stature anyway are very small. Right, yeah. Incredible talents, of course. Of course. But then they see a guy my size and right away they figure, well, this guy's got to be a bad guy because he's big. Right. He can't be a sensitive guy. He can't be a gentle guy. He can't smile.
Carl Weathers began his acting career at a time when Hollywood often limited black actors to crime-related or street-level roles, especially on television and in action films. Early on, he appeared in projects where his characters were frequently criminals, antagonists, or morally ambiguous figures, reflecting industry stereotypes rather than his range as an actor. This changed in 1976 when Weathers was cast as Apollo Creed in Rocky.
He's hooking. Damn, Rod, come on! What's the matter with you?
Tomorrow. Let's do it tomorrow.
There is no tomorrow! There is no tomorrow! There is no tomorrow!
A breakthrough role that moved him beyond criminal portrayals and established him as a major leading figure defined by strength, ambition, and complexity, not crime. Carl Weathers explicitly addressed the issue of typecasting.
You're an asset. An expendable asset. And I used you to get the job done. Got it?
Emphasizing the need to escape the maze of typecasting through strategic career choices and by gaining creative control. He sought diverse roles beyond action heroes, including creating his own opportunities through his production company. Carl Weathers' Apollo Creed helped prove that black characters could anchor emotional weight in mainstream cinema and shift industry comfort levels over time to pave way for later black-led legacy sequels like Creed that starred actor Michael B. Jordan. Weathers didn't just play a memorable character, he helped establish a cultural foundation that made Creed feel natural, necessary, and overdue. Black actors have always carried the weight of how they are seen, not just on screen, but in the minds of audiences shaped by history, by media, and by their own ingrained expectations. Their careers reflect not only the talent, but the society watching them. And until the full range of black humanity becomes as welcome on screen as anyone else's, the question will remain, are black actors truly free to embody any character or only the characters the world is comfortable seeing them play. So we ask, who is this really serving? Is this pattern shaped by the demands of non-black audiences? Audiences who, consciously or subconsciously, expect to see black characters as criminals because it reinforces a narrative they've been taught to believe. A narrative where the black man is accepted as a gangster, but a certain kind, not the high-level glamorous mob boss, you know, the street corner hustler, the danger on the margins. A character limited by imagination as much as prejudice. But what happens when black actors step outside that box? What happens when a black actor becomes the hero or the leading face of a beloved franchise?
Is that when you shot me, you gave me a gift. Look at me, a black Superman.
Idris Elba could possibly be the next James Bond. We just can't get away from the speculation.
So tell us, is Idris Elba the next guy?
Everyone's talking Bond at the moment, really.
Yes, because of Idris Elba.
Yeah. We just wanted to know whether you liked it shaken or stirred.
Stir-fried, actually. Thank you.
Am I looking at the next 007?
No.
The truth of it is, the younger people certainly hearing this, what does the word street mean? What does he mean by that? It's a stereotype, so on and so forth, and of course it's going to be shocking. But like I said, you know, I mean, from my perspective, you know, everyone has a nose and everyone has an opinion.
Idris Elba could not play James Bond. We were like, why? They're like, because.
You do not have to be white to be sexy, sip a martini, and save the world.
Think about it, James Bond was based on a real man who was white, and so he should be played by a real white man. Like, James Bond could not be played by Idris Elba because Idris Elba is a black man and James Bond is white. I was like, well, actually, James Bond is a fictional character, and so he can be played by anyone because it is fiction.
These reactions are not new. They reflect a long history where black actors face racist criticism for 3 recurring reasons.
Miles, you're gonna get yourself killed. But I'm ready. I promise.
Then Venom strike me right now. Or turn invisible on command so you can get past me.
Playing a role traditionally portrayed as white.
They want to make Spider-Man black. They want to make MJ some ugly, racially ambiguous person. And all of that bullcrap brings us up to your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Becoming the lead in a major franchise, appearing in historical or fantasy settings where some audiences assume whiteness. History has already given us the answer. We've seen the backlash. We watched it unfold in real time when John Boyega removed his helmet in Star Wars: The Force Awakens, the first Stormtrooper in franchise history to reveal his face beneath that iconic white armor.
A Black Stormtrooper. Yeah, right. A Black Stormtrooper.
After decades of faceless soldiers, millions of viewers finally saw who could be underneath. And some people hated what they saw. The racist outrage was loud, public, and widespread.
I'm gonna be honest, I really don't care about the Black Stormtrooper stuff. I couldn't care less. This is a movie about human beings, about Wookiees, spaceships, and TIE fighters. And it has an undertone and a message of courage. And a message of friendship.
All because a franchise that had only rarely featured black actors, Billy D. Williams, Samuel L. Jackson, a handful of others, finally placed a black man in a leading role. Was the anger because it was the first time a Stormtrooper was unmasked? Or was it because he was a major character, disrupting the unspoken rule about who gets to be centered in heroic, fantastical, or mythic stories. Moments like this shape careers. They create pressure that flows backward into casting decisions. They reinforce the industry's fear that putting black actors in non-stereotypical roles invites backlash, while placing them in criminal roles is safe, familiar, even expected.
Hey, you know you're chatting to? No? What? Girl, Stu Griffin, yeah. Well, don't touch me, bro. I said, don't touch me, blood. What? Get off the bike, blood.
And yet, ironically, we also see that a large portion of black films include criminality. Sometimes this is necessary because some stories must be told truthfully, especially when they reflect real events, real pain, real history. But in other cases, these narratives get repeated not because they are the only stories, but because they are the stories Hollywood feels most comfortable giving to black performers.
Each job I take, I feel like it's different than the last one. Each character is different than the last one. Each movie is different than the last one. There's no comparison. It gives me a certain amount of freedom in my music, in the music that I do, and just in general as a young black male to have, you know, the opportunity to do movies where I can get money and, you know, get in a certain spot in white Hollywood.
Well, Robert, I've played 9 crooks, 4 gang leaders, 2 dope dealers. I played a rapist twice. Whoa. That was fun.
You too can be a black street hood. But this class is for dark-skinned blacks only. Light-skinned or yellow blacks don't make good crooks.
Yeah.
A critical observation within UK and US black crime cinema and television is the apparent prevalence of darker-skinned actors in roles that are coded as menacing, violent, or threatening. From New Jack City to The Wire, many of the most feared characters, such as Omar Little, Marlo Stanfield, Chris Partlow, and Franklin Saint in Snowfall, are portrayed by actors with darker complexions. This raises the question of whether there is an identifiable pattern within the genre. Conversely, characters with lighter skin tones, such as Sully in Top Boy,
So what are you saying then?
Oh, shit! What's wrong with a silly boy? What's the point in all this? Forget it, you men are fucking embarrassed.
also occupy positions of fear and authority, suggesting that factors beyond skin tone, such as narrative centrality, charisma, or storytelling emphasis, influence perception of menace. Historically, figures like Wesley Snipes have commented on how darker-skinned actors are often typecast in Hollywood, particularly in criminal or gangster roles, and this phenomenon has been reinforced culturally through media, such as Hollywood Shuffle, which satirizes the industry's fixation on darker-skinned actors as more authentic criminals. This raises broader questions about the role of systemic racialized perceptions within casting practices.
Yeah, go ahead, run, motherfuckers, run! Yo, punk pussy-ass motherfuckers, that's right. Go tell somebody you saw something.
Do darker-skinned actors appear to feel more real to predominantly white audiences because societal structures and historical racial biases have conditioned such responses?
Where's Dre?
I don't know.
You believe her?
No.
In other words, the repeated casting of darker-skinned actors in threatening roles may not only reflect narrative or aesthetic choices, but also entrenched racialized expectations within both the industry and its audience.
Are you saying we should just walk away? That's not the job I signed up for.
Similar barriers happen with darker-skinned black women that mirror the typecasting patterns observed for darker-skinned black men in crime genres, where skin tone is often coded as authentic, menacing, or secondary rather than leading. The pattern is not limited to gendered representations of menace. It extends to the broader dynamics of visibility, authority, and desirability in casting, reflecting how systemic colorism shapes opportunities for black actors across both sexes. Colorism operates as a form of structural preference, where lighter skin is perceived, consciously or subconsciously, as more marketable, safe, or aligned with dominant beauty standards. This intersects with existing racialized hierarchies. Darker-skinned women may be offered supporting roles, villainous characters, or characters with trauma and hardship or aggressive action roles in films like Black Panther and The Woman King. These roles are significant because they place darker-skinned women at the center of physical agency and narrative importance, not just as side characters, whereas lighter-skinned counterparts are more often positioned as protagonists or central figures. Just as darker-skinned men have historically been cast in roles emphasizing threat, violence, or authenticity in crime narratives, darker-skinned women face an industry bias that constrains the types of stories in which they can plausibly inhabit lead multidimensional roles.
Wish your mama happy birthday before she goes to work.
Happy birthday, man.
Be safe.
These ain't pussy. Ghetto boys, wicked and...
In Blue Story, actor Eric Kofi Abrefa portrays the character Switcher, a gang leader in this British crime drama centered on postcode gang rivalries.
I run Peckham, innit? I protect you, innit?
In contrast, in Supercell, Eric plays Andre, a father recently released from prison who is attempting to reconnect with his son.
How you doing, son? That's team good.
Hey, Jay. Go get a refill. I need to talk to your dad.
He later assumes a similar narrative in BMF, portraying Lamar, a father defined not only by incarceration, but also by violence and the long shadow of criminal life.
Dad!
While both Andre and Lamar share certain circumstances, both are ex-incarcerated fathers carrying elements of threat and trauma, their dramatic functions diverge significantly. Lamar in BMF operates as a mythic, almost operatic figure of violence, with crime driving the narrative and his dominance over the world around him. By contrast, Andre in Supercell is domestic, grounded, and emotionally constrained. Crime exists primarily as backstory, not as identity.
Regardless if they let me go, bro, look, they gotta pay me for the hours that I've worked. Look, AJ is at home right now, but he's starving, bro. He's expecting me.
His narrative centers on repair rather than power, emphasizing what has already been lost rather than potential future danger. Thus, although the casting silhouette overlaps, the dramatic meaning does not. This raises the question of typecasting. In Supercell, Eric is portrayed as a man shaped by incarceration, masculinity under pressure, and unfinished fatherhood.
Yeah, I know you was complaining last time I saw you about your phone and that.
Oh, Dad.
It's the latest one.
Yeah?
Yeah, got a free upgrade.
One new iPhone. Yeah.
While these traits echo elements of the gangster archetype, they manifest in a quieter, more respectable prestige drama context, rather than as a prominent criminal figure.
Eric, I know them, they're cool. They don't look cool, why'd you take his number? He said I should take it just in case.
In case of what?
In case you know.
Trey.
Eric further mitigates the risk of typecasting by alternating between lead and supporting roles, navigating both UK and US productions, and working across genres including science fiction, biblical, satire, and crime. Nevertheless, once an actor demonstrates the ability to portray physical authority, emotional restraint,
Can't stop the rain when it starts to pour.
latent menace,
You fired a fucking gun at me?
I just shoot to make it look real, Lamar.
and tenderness simultaneously, casting directors may begin to perceive them as safe hands for damaged characters with complex histories. This perception does not equate to repeating criminal behavior, but rather repeating the emotional texture associated with such characters. While this narrows the field, it allows for a nuanced form of specialization rather than the overt, restrictive typecasting associated with gangster roles. At the outset, none of these actors are intended to be symbols. They are, first and foremost, practitioners of their craft, immersed in rehearsal rooms, drafty theatres, borrowed scripts, and long nights spent memorising lines. Idris Elba develops an ability to command space and presence. Ashley Walters hones rhythm, timing, and the capacity to hold attention. Damson Idris cultivates precision, discipline, and control. David Johnson trains in the same manner. All of them engage in the fundamental work of acting, listening, reacting, and transforming. However, the trajectories of their careers begin to diverge once the camera finds them. Idris Elba emerges as Stringer Bell, a sharp, intelligent, and magnetic presence whose performance defines the role so decisively that the industry collectively recognizes where he belongs.
That means when people can go elsewhere and get their printing and copying done, they're gonna do it. You acting like we got an inelastic product and we don't.
Ashley Walters enters narratives closely aligned with the urban streets already associated with his public persona. The media consolidates his music, background, and performances into a single authentic narrative, rendering him as more than an actor. He is read as real. Damson Idris crosses into the American market as Franklin Saint.
Who'd you find to take off that kilo off your hand?
My fairy godmother.
Delivering a layered, thoughtful, and tragic performance. Yet in this context, industry perception prioritizes repeatable traits over training. The question is what can be reproduced, not how the actor was prepared. In each case, initial success constrains the frame within which the industry perceives them. David's entrance is different. His first significant exposure does not revolve around danger or dominance. Rather, it centers on discomfort and the negotiation of power through language rather than violence. In this instance, the industry pauses, encountering an actor who is not yet slotted into pre-existing categories.
What do you think you're doing? Why am I getting incoming about a grad executing with my clients?
Our Pandaria were off the deck.
Did I tell you you could do that?
No familiar pattern forms, and consequently, his early choices compound in a manner that emphasizes versatility. Romance instead of threat.
That's me.
Investigation instead of crime.
This village really is a place where murder is easy.
Science fiction instead of realism.
We're on the bottom floor of the station. Below our features a vacuum of space. You shoot that creature, and it's a guaranteed instant decompression. And we all die.
This outcome is not a reflection of superior training or innate capability relative to his peers, but rather of the absence of immediate momentum that would have otherwise constrained him. This dynamic illustrates a broader truth. Typecasting is not predicated on everything an actor has played, but on the roles for which they are first and most widely recognised. In David's case, his role in Wasteman, a small, early, low-visibility indie film, precedes his mainstream recognition and is neither culturally dominant nor iconic.
You are this close to getting out of here.
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna get a job.
Consequently, he played a criminal once, quietly, and simultaneously established himself in professional, romantic, and intellectual roles early and prominently. By contrast, Idris Elba, Ashley Walters, and Damson Idris performed gangster roles prominently at the precise moment the industry was forming its perception of them, thereby anchoring their typecasting. In essence, typecasting functions as an echo. It amplifies the first, most visible impressions of an actor. David's career demonstrates that entering the industry in a context that allows for visibility in diverse, non-stereotypical roles can prevent the formation of a constraining pattern, highlighting the interplay between timing, exposure, and the roles actors inhabit.
Tell you exactly what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with a drug that is worth more than everything else we are developing combined.
David Oyelowo, on the other hand, has not built his career around gangster or criminal roles in the way some actors are known for that genre. He's best known for historical figures, leaders, moral protagonists, and complex dramatic performances, with only occasional forays into darker characters that remain distinct from genre gangster tropes.
We have these rules for a reason. They are there to help us do the right thing, even when it's hard.
These roles show Oyolowo often plays characters on the side of law, justice, leadership, or moral complexity rather than outright criminality. One of Oyolowo's formative television roles was Danny Hunter in Spooks, an MI5 operative. This role established him as someone aligned with institutional power and national security rather than opposition to it. Unlike actors whose early visibility comes through crime narratives, Oyolowo's association with law, intelligence, and governance positioned him on the inside of systems rather than as a challenger to them. This early framing matters. Casting directors tend to extrapolate future possibilities from first impressions.
If I can't sit at any lunch counter I want, then I might as well be dead. We're fighting for our rights.
Rights? Boy, what are you talking
about? We're trying to change a nation's consciousness toward the American Negro.
You present me? You're a damn liar.
Hey!
Who do you think you're talking to? I brought you into this world to take you out of it.
Oyolowo's initial visibility suggested credibility, restraint, and moral complexity rather than danger or volatility. As a result, Oyolowo became associated with gravitas rather than genre. This creates a self-reinforcing cycle. Once an actor is trusted with historically significant or morally weighty roles, the industry is less likely to imagine them in sensationalized or stereotypical crime parts. Casting directors reach for him when they need a character who can carry ethical complexity or leadership without relying on spectacle or threat. This positioning effectively insulates him from the kind of gangster or criminal typecasting that has shaped the careers of other black male actors. David Oyolowo's casting history demonstrates that typecasting is less about what an actor is capable of and more about what the industry first learns to expect.
Wait, 1 second. Just talk to me for 1 second. Just hang on a second.
When comparing black-led crime dramas with white-led crime dramas, a noticeable divergence emerges in tone, narrative framing, and audience positioning. Although both traditions often pursue similar narrative goals, such as exploring ambition, survival, or moral compromise, the effective temperature toward the audience differs significantly. White crime dramas tend to invite empathy and identification, whereas black crime dramas more frequently maintain emotional distance or moral scrutiny. A central distinction lies in the concept of innocence before the fall. Black characters are often denied an initial state of moral neutrality or social legitimacy, a consequence of how the television and film industries determine which stories are deemed universal, which characters are afforded moral complexity, and which narratives are considered worthy of high-risk prestige investment. Within this framework, the crisis of a middle-class white man is repeatedly positioned as a universal human experience. Prestige white-led crime dramas such as Breaking Bad, The Sopranos, and Ozark are typically structured as modern tragedies rather than crime glorification. These narratives begin by situating the protagonist in a recognizable and socially sanctioned role, gradually depicting a moral descent in which rationalizations deteriorate into entitlement. Over time, the audience is compelled to confront the unsettling realization that their sympathies have aligned with a fundamentally corrupt figure. The humanization of the criminal is therefore not an endorsement, but a mechanism that forces viewers to interrogate their own ethical boundaries. Industry assumptions play a decisive role in this narrative disparity. Studios have historically operated under the belief that white protagonists are more marketable internationally, that white anti-heroes feel safe to advertisers, and that white crime narratives are best understood as psychological explorations. In contrast, black crime narratives are often framed as sociological or political commentaries rather than as studies of individual moral collapse. In Breaking Bad, Walter White is not merely portrayed as a drug dealer. His cancer functions as a narrative catalyst rather than a moral justification, while his true motivation emerges from wounded pride, unrealized ambition, and a desire for control. By humanizing Walter White, the series asserts that such monstrosity does not arise spontaneously, but develops from ordinary frustrations and ego-driven rationalizations. Even the depiction of methamphetamine production reflects this framing. The process is presented as meticulous, innovative, and almost scientific, resembling invention rather than degradation.
This is pure glass. You're a goddamn artist.
This is art, Mr. White.
By contrast, non-white crime narratives frequently depict drug production and distribution in chaotic, disordered environments, such as cramped apartments, crack houses, or hypersexualized spaces, emphasizing disorder, excess, and spectacle. This aesthetic distinction contributes to differential audience responses. Mainstream viewers are more likely to extend sympathy to Walter White, a response deeply entangled with race, class, and perceived relatability. As a middle-class white man in suburban America, Walter is framed as recognizable and familiar. His intelligence is cast as wasted potential, and his criminality as an aberration rather than an expectation. This framing deliberately blurs the line between brilliance and cruelty. However, many viewers stop at the surface interpretation. He is intelligent and devoted to his family, rather than confronting the more disturbing conclusion that Walter White instrumentalizes his family to legitimize his ego and moral decay.
Why did you stop?
Age and life stage further shape these narrative distinctions. Black crime dramas such as Snowfall, The Wire, BMF, and Top Boy frequently center on younger protagonists navigating early exposure to structural inequality and criminal economies. White crime dramas, by contrast, more often focus on older characters embedded in family structures, suburban domesticity, and the 2.4 children ideal. This domestic framing further encourages audience identification and moral patience. Films such as The Mule exemplify this dynamic by humanizing elderly white criminals to the extent that audiences may momentarily overlook the severity of the criminal acts being committed. The cumulative effect of these representational choices reinforces a cultural hierarchy in which white criminality is interpreted as tragic deviation, while black criminality is more readily perceived as expected or inevitable. When audiences repeatedly see an actor playing similar roles, especially in crime-related or stereotyped portrayals, the actor becomes typecast in the public imagination. Viewers begin to associate the actor with that behavior or archetype, particularly when the actor's real-life identity overlaps with aspects of the character, for example, their race, speech patterns, fashion, or background. For the actor, this repetition can be both a blessing and a curse, which can either build recognition and career momentum or trap them in a cycle where casting directors only see them as that kind of character. Seeing the same actor play the same type of criminal roles does influence perception. It shapes how audiences see the actor, and often how they see others who look like them. The impact isn't just cinematic, it's psychological, cultural, and deeply social.
No matter what we call heroin, it's gonna get sold. Shit is strong, we're gonna sell it. Shit is weak, we're gonna sell twice as much. You know why? Because a fiend, you're gonna chase that shit no matter what.
You start to see a clear thematic pattern in how Black British and even Black diaspora actors are often introduced to mainstream audiences through roles connected to crime or struggle, which is widely discussed among scholars, filmmakers, and media critics.
Now I want you to get yourself together and get back out there and get me my money. Now, I don't care how long it takes you, you get out there and get it.
Many blaxploitation films of the 1970s were deeply intertwined with black criminal stereotypes, though the truth is more complicated than a simple. Blaxploitation, short for black exploitation, emerged in the early 1970s as a response to Hollywood's lack of black representation. The word black was generally used in the head title of every movie. To some, it was comical. Blaxploitation kicked in. Simply seeing the black actors on the front of every poster wasn't enough. Black was often attached, tagged, associated. Many of the biggest blaxploitation hits did revolve around drugs, prostitution, or gangster life. Superfly, 1972, about a cocaine dealer trying to retire. The Mac, 1973, about a pimp's rise and fall. Coffee and Foxy Brown, Pam Grier classics. Revenge tales set in criminal underworlds. Black Caesar, 1973, a Harlem gangster epic. These films often showed black protagonists operating outside the law, taking revenge or beating the system through hustling or violence. The surface imagery often leaned heavily into stereotypes of black men as criminals or anti-heroes, and that is why blaxploitation is often described as liberating and problematic at the same time.
I don't give a shit about what happened to you.
We have been fighting negative images ever since I can remember. All our history deals with fighting stereotype negative images. And I think we had gotten to a point where we were just rising above that. And suddenly, to deal with what I consider another level of stereotypes.
If you stay up here, you take orders from me!
Historically, the marginalization of black men in the horror genre has been shaped not by audience disinterest, but by entrenched racial logics within the Hollywood film industry. From the 1930s through the late 20th century, studio executives operated under the assumption that black male leads were commercially unviable because horror relies heavily on viewer identification with protagonists, whether as victims, heroes, or survivors. Hollywood presumed that mainstream white audiences would be unwilling to align themselves with black characters.
What's going on, man? I can't see myself.
I'm afraid that's one of the misfortunes of the cursed.
This really ain't him. I mean, a man has got to see his face.
This presumption, rooted in the industry's long-standing practice of treating whiteness as the normative cinematic subject, restricted black men's access to central narrative roles in the genre. Simultaneously, Hollywood controlled which bodies could signify monstrosity. Although racist stereotypes often portrayed black men as dangerous or threatening, the industry avoided explicitly racializing its monsters. To do so would risk exposing the prejudicial foundations of white fears and invite accusations of racial bias. Instead, classic horror villains were constructed as safely fictional, masked killers, supernatural forces, demons, animals, or disfigured white men. These figures allowed the genre to explore fear without confronting the social realities that shaped racialized perceptions of danger. This pattern was reinforced by the cultural origins of the genre itself. Horror's early development was dominated by white writers, directors, studio heads, and audiences, and thus the genre reflected white social anxieties rather than black experiences.
Be my victim. Be my victim.
While horror thematically engages with the unknown, the other, and the loss of social control, these concepts were rendered symbolically rather than racially, even though their subtext often aligned with racialized narratives in American society. As a result, black characters rarely appeared on screen, and when they did, they occupied limited and stereotypical roles. Throughout the 1970s to 1990s, black men in horror were commonly relegated to marginal positions: the expendable friend, the comic relief, the first to die, or the physically imposing but narratively insignificant character. These roles reinforced established hierarchies by denying black male characters complexity, agency, or centrality. They were rarely permitted to become iconic villains, powerful supernatural beings, or protagonists whose experiences structured the narrative. In effect, black men were present only insofar as they supported or highlighted white characters. Hollywood's avoidance of racial realities further contributed to this exclusion. The genuine terrors experienced by black communities, lynching, segregation, police violence, economic dispossession, were rarely addressed in mainstream horror, as studios sought to maintain the genre's association with escapism and avoid themes that might discomfort white audiences.
You know I can't give you the keys, right, babe?
This erasure of black social trauma allowed horror to remain culturally detached from the historical and contemporary forms of violence that shape black life in the United States. A significant transformation emerged only in the 21st century, driven by the work of black filmmakers who redefined the genre's possibilities. Directors such as Jordan Peele, Nia DaCosta, Rusty Cundieff, and Bill Gunn demonstrated that audiences were receptive to horror narratives centered on black protagonists, antagonists, and social realities. Their films not only interrogated racial violence directly, but also expanded the genre's thematic scope, challenging decades of institutional gatekeeping. In sum, the historical absence of black men in central horror roles cannot be attributed to audience preferences. It is instead the result of long-standing systemic barriers within Hollywood. Racial assumptions about audience identification, and intentional avoidance of explicitly racialized monstrosity, a genre shaped by white cultural anxieties, reliance on stereotypes, resistance to depicting racial trauma, and the underrepresentation of black creatives in positions of authority. Only when these structural constraints began to be challenged did the horror genre begin to reflect the full range of black representation on screen.
The only role they gonna let us do is a slave, a butler, or some street hood or something.
What the Hollywood Shuffle was trying to say was that Hollywood profited from stereotypes, reducing black actors to simplistic, demeaning roles.
I ain't be got no weapon. Why you be gotta pull a knife on me?
Black artists often had to choose between fame and integrity. Ultimately, the film explores the personal and cultural cost of conforming to stereotypes by using sketches, dream sequences, and exaggerated auditions to make its point.
Could you tell him to be a little more, you know?
Yeah, Bobby. Bobby, I need a little more black. You know what I'm saying? Like, stick your ass out.
Lead character Bobby, played by Robert Townsend, has to decide whether achieving success in Hollywood is worth losing authenticity and reinforcing damaging narratives about his own community. Unlike gritty drama, comedy wasn't about criminal survival. It was about social navigation, laughing through pain, exposing hypocrisy, and humanizing black experience. Where dramatic film often cast black men as criminals or victims, comedy positioned them as commentators, tricksters, and truth tellers, characters who outsmart the system rather than fall beneath it.
Quick fashion question. Should I wear this Tech 9 with the high tops?
Don't Be a Menace is a movie that spoofs several early 1990s black crime dramas which depicted the struggles of young black men growing up in inner city America. But Don't Be a Menace exaggerated their tropes to show how repetitive and stereotypical Hollywood's portrayals had become.
Hurry up and buy.
The media often reduced black communities to cliches, guns, gangs, drugs, and broken homes, without showing the full humanity, humor, or diversity of those communities. Even through its humor, the film mocks the glorification of violence, hyper-masculinity, and street life as the only path to respect or survival. Behind the humor is a critique of systemic racism and neglect that shape life in marginalized communities. Even while parodying stereotypes, the Wayans brothers used humor as a way to reclaim and control the narrative about black life. They're laughing with the culture, not at it. Comedy can expose painful truths while also affirming identity, resilience, and self-awareness. Don't Be a Menace is saying we know the struggles are real, but the way the world and Hollywood tells our story is ridiculous. Let's laugh at the nonsense, point out the truth, and remind people there's more to us than tragedy.
I hate your black skin. I hate your black pants. I hate black pepper.
I hate little motherfuckers like you. Little niggas, you ain't shit. Think you're tough, huh?
Underneath all the outrageous gags, the film carries serious subtext about police brutality, racism, and double standards, fatherless homes, and systemic neglect. How pop culture romanticizes street life. The humor disarms you, but the message still lands. Every time Lock Dog's crazy antics make you laugh, there's a message moment reminding you what's really being critiqued. Their philosophy: comedy can speak truth to power, and people will actually listen if they're laughing. At that time, Hollywood didn't believe that films centered on black culture could make mainstream money, unless they were dramas about struggle. The Wayans family wanted to challenge that, making Don't Be a Menace to parody Hollywood's limited view of black life.
What you say about my mama? Break yourself!
No! You break your fight, so the fight back!
To reclaim that image through comedy and to use laughter as both critique and empowerment. Many black American comedians, Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence, Jamie Foxx, Will Smith, didn't just act, they wrote, produced, or shaped their own material. That gave them a degree of creative control rarely offered to dramatic actors early in their careers. Eddie Murphy broke out on Saturday Night Live and Beverly Hills Cop, playing smart, funny, charismatic black leads who challenged authority without being criminals.
This place has the worst security in the nation.
Martin Lawrence's Martin sitcom and films like Bad Boys flipped the script. A black cop, not a black suspect. The success of Coming to America, House Party, Boomerang, The Fresh Prince, and Bad Boys proved that comedians can exist outside the criminal narrative. But even though it's possible for comedians to exist outside the stigma of the criminal stereotype historically, Hollywood was not always comfortable with black men in positions of visible power, especially in the 1970s to 1990s. So when black comedians like Eddie Murphy, Chris Rock, Martin Lawrence, and later Kevin Hart became movie stars, were studios suggesting that black comedians were non-threatening because they're funny, not angry? If to say, he's a black man with a badge and a joke, not a gun and a grudge, and heroic while still relatable to mainstream, often white audiences? Or was they offered roles, and the way those roles were marketed, reflect an industry effort to make black masculinity palatable and profitable to majority white audiences? Because a funny black man could be seen as approachable, lovable, and safe for white audiences to root for, so it was like a calculated image management strategy. Studios knew that these comedians already had a strong black fan base and the ability to make white audiences laugh without feeling accused, which in some cases papered over the cracks of being the violent black criminal.
All right, listen up. I don't like white people. I hate rednecks. You people are rednecks. It means I'm enjoying this shit. You know what I am? I'm your worst fucking nightmare. Heard of him now, man?
Within 48 hours, Eddie Murphy's characters as a criminal was the backstory. Eddie Murphy plays Reggie Hammond, a streetwise convict temporarily released from prison to help white cop Jack Cates, Nick Nolte, solve a case.
We ain't partners, we ain't brothers, and we ain't friends. I'm putting you down and keeping you down until Gans is locked up or dead. And if Gans gets away, you're gonna be sorry you ever met me.
So this time Murphy inverts the stereotype as the charismatic, funny, and sharp. Ends up being more competent and moral than the real cop. The crime part becomes a backstory, not his identity. This performance was revolutionary because it humanized the criminal stereotype without scaring the audience. But it also limited how Hollywood was willing to portray black power. You could be smart, rebellious, and streetwise as long as you redeemed yourself through the system by helping the cop. You could be funny and clever as long as your anger stayed humorous, not political. The cracks, racism, inequality, stereotype were still there, just covered with charm and punchlines. Eddie Murphy knew how to use the space to show intelligence, rhythm, and wit in a way Hollywood rarely allowed black men to do. He wasn't just the comic relief, he dominated the screen. So even though the role was shaped by stereotype boundaries, he expanded what a black lead could be, paving the way for Will Smith, Martin Lawrence, and later Kevin Hart.
I keep telling you the same fucking thing about things, man.
You always telling me, man, what the fuck is the use of having soldiers if you can't use them? That's why I'm Rico, that's why I do what I do, man.
Some UK black actors are also musicians who come from a genre of music that is often policed and criminalized, which transitions them into narratives that connect their music personas to be seen as extensions of the streets in film. In America, many music artists have followed a familiar path, moving from rap into film. Figures like Ice Cube in Boys in the Hood, Snoop Dogg, and many others began to blur the lines between music and cinema. Whether audiences were drawn to them because they already followed their music, or because the artists showed genuine acting talent, their early film roles often carried a particular type of imagery. That imagery, however, tended to confine them, placing them within a narrow frame of black stereotypes. Take Ice Cube, for instance. Though he later went on to play a wide variety of roles across genres, his debut on screen was rooted in crime, struggle, and survival. It's not that these artists haven't broken beyond those roles. over time, but there's an undeniable pattern, one that links music, film, crime, and black identity in a way that subtly reinforces a narrative that plants a subconscious idea in the minds of audiences, that this is who they are and that these traits are somehow inherent rather than performed. Some will say it's a form of institutional bias and audience expectation, and some will say casting directors, producers, and audiences have been conditioned to read black masculinity as either threatening or heroic through violence. And this expectation shapes what kinds of stories get funded and who gets hired. This recurring link between black artistry and criminality, both real and fictional, serves two parallel purposes. It reinforces the stereotype that blackness and crime are intertwined. Yet paradoxically, it also becomes a space where many black creators express truth and complexity about their environments, reclaiming narratives that mainstream media distorted. In that sense, the black crime genre becomes both a trap and a launchpad. It's where many careers begin, but also where many stories get stuck. Within communities, internalized bias whispers the same story, that life is limited, that potential is circumscribed, that identity is tied to danger. Breaking this cycle demands more than sympathy. It requires seeing the systems, understanding their history, and confronting the subtle, persistent ways bias infiltrates thought and action. Only then can we dismantle the stereotype, reclaim the narrative, and finally recognize the full humanity of those long misrepresented.